In 2013, Ford released a Fiesta-based SUV slash crossover to the Southeast Asian market. And later on in around 2015 or 2016, they released it in Europe. And for the 2018 model, they released it in the US under the name Ecosport. Even though it should be pronounced Ecosport, for some reason Ford called it the Ecosport. Anyway, this is a 2019 SES model, which is the top trim. It's a four-seater with a rear swing gate trunk. This is a subcompact SUV, however, so it isn't the most amount of storage. You have a little parcel shelf here, but other than that, not too much. This one is the bigger engine. You have two options with the engine. You have a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbocharged engine with 123 horsepower, or this one, which is the 2-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated, well, that has 166 horsepower. And if we look in the back seat, you can see me at 5'11". I can fit behind someone that is shorter than me, but I have very long legs, so if I try to sit behind myself, it's a little tight in here. Back here, it's pretty nice. We have 3-prong outlet, no air vents, however, which is a little bit of a shame. No climate controls. You have window switchers back here, speakers, white stitching, and a cloth metal seat with leather around the edge. Also have fold-down seats with a button right here to increase your cargo storage, but you would have to fold this headrest down. But it doesn't quite fold flat, which means that it is harder to load your cargo than some rivals. Get out of here. If you look right here, there is a 12-volt power outlet there, which is nice, but it would be nicer if there were USBs. But remember, this car did come out in 2013 and really hasn't been refreshed too much. On the door panel here, you can see it's mostly scratchy, hard plastics all around. There's a little bit of leather padding here and a nice gray plastic finish. These rims, I'm not exactly sure what size they are. It should say on the tire, but I believe that they are 18 inches, and they are fairly large. I like the design, and I like the color choice. If we come around front, you can see everything is halogen except these little LED daytime running lights. Those are the only LEDs on the car, as far as I know. And let's pop the hood so you can take a look at that 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder. Release. So there's no hydraulics here. It's a prop shaft, but it's a Duratec engine, 4-cylinder. It's found in a lot of vehicles, such as the base model Escape. And, it's not a lot of power, but it's enough to get this moving. I can't imagine what it would be like driving the 3-cylinder turbo with 120 horsepower. I mean, when I drove this, it's peppy. It's off the line, it's pretty good, but once you get past 40 miles an hour, it really struggles. Even with this 2-liter. It does handle very well, however, for a small vehicle. It's very zippy and nimble. If we come into the front and start it up. Power start button right here. It's fairly quiet. You have a little center display here where you can look at your music, your phone, vehicle settings, MPG. You can see this little small crossover doesn't really get that good MPG. And you have a speedo. You have your Sync 3 right here, which is an 8-inch display, which I believe comes on the titanium and up trims. You have audio, your phone. It's very easy to navigate. You have Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. And it's very easy to use, and you have a nice navigation system that actually works fairly well. Not as good as a smartphone. If we look down here, we have a steering wheel heater, which is actually pretty nice, heated seats, and automatic climate control. This comes with a 6-speed auto with a sport mode where you can shift up and down with these little pedals right here, a manual handbrake, cup holders, and a very, very small center console seat. I can only really fit a mask in here, but then there is this thing that pops out and it's deeper, but it's hard to reach things down there. Anyway, this comes with a 7-speaker Ford sound system, and it's reasonably good. Also comes with a power sunroof. And again, these leather seats with the cloth in the middle and a little silver grab handle here. Auto, one touch up and down for the driver's side, but the passengers are all manual. Again, same sort of scratchy plastics on the top and bottom. Nothing too special. It does have cruise control. It's not adaptive, but the one thing that surprised me the most about this car, and not in a good way, is the price. This car is $28,000, almost $29,000, and that is a lot of money for a car like this. It's small. It's based on a Ford Fiesta, which is a $14,000 car. I mean, sure, it has a nicer engine, but you know, it's really expensive. You could buy a base model Camry for that type of money with a nicer 4-cylinder with more power than this, and that gets better gas mileage and can hold more cargo. At first glance, it doesn't seem like this car is a good deal at all. It doesn't seem like it's something that would be enjoyable to drive. It just seems like a dreary, normal, boring crossover. Well, I guess we'll have to figure out if it's actually worth it on our test drive. So now we are going to the water by Fells Point, where there are cobblestone streets. You can see that there's restaurants out here for COVID. You can drive down here, and we'll see what the ride is like over bumpier things like cobblestones. It's not off-road per se, but this car is capable of off-road driving. I've seen videos online of people doing that. We're not going to do that today, but let's see how it rides over this. Doing about 10 miles an hour. It's actually not too bad. It is a little rumbly, but that's what you expect of cobblestones. And the suspension does a reasonable job of soaking up the bumps. This one is, with the SES model, it is sport tuned, whatever that means. It's still very floaty and comfortable over bumps. Sometimes it is a little too floaty, but most of the time it holds its own. It does have a reasonable amount of body lean in some corners, but other than that, it's fairly comfortable. So now we are about to merge onto the highway and see what the passing power of the 2019 Ford Ecosport SES is with the 2-liter 4-cylinder naturally aspirated engine, 166 horsepower. Let's see, I'm gonna go from a roll, go to about 25 and floor it. 40, 50, 55. You know, it's decent. It's enough, but when you're on the highway and you really want to pass someone, you really have to put your foot down. You can't just, ease into it like a car with a big V6 or a V8. You have to really mash it down to get it to go. Because this does have a 6-speed auto, which is, in my opinion, I believe that 6 speeds are plenty. Some people are like, it only has a 6-speed. I think 6 speeds are usually enough for a car modern day. I think 5 speeds are too little, but so this 6-speed is fine. It shifts okay. It is a little slow to downshift again if I floor it. Took a second, but not too bad. All these modern transmissions are fairly good. If you're coming from an old car into this, it'll feel miles better. It's it has this 8-inch touchscreen with Apple CarPlay. I mean, a center screen that shows your mileage, your speed, what song you're listening to, all of that. It's a reasonably nice car. So my verdict with this is the handling is good. The ride is nice. The miles per gallon isn't great for the segment, and that this is a good car overall. But when it comes down to it, if you have $28,000, almost $29,000 is what this car is spec'd to, I would personally go out and buy a 4-cylinder Toyota Camry with like XLE with leather. You could buy that for about the same price. You could also buy, if you want something sporty, you could buy a Mazda Miata. You could buy a Subaru WRX. You could buy a lot of different things for this type of money. And it's a good car. And if you want an SUV that's 4-wheel drive and that can do some off-road, and you want to go in the city and you live in the city and you want to park in the city, this is a great car. But you know, I don't really personally understand the concept of subcompact SUVs like the Honda HR-V, because it just makes it taller, more upright, and have a higher center of gravity, and it makes things just more complicated. And you can buy a car that is smaller or bigger for less money with more power, gets better gas mileage, and is better overall. Maybe it's not 4-wheel drive, but if you put a set of winter tires on it, it'll get you through the snow. So that's my verdict with this. I think it's a good car, but I would not recommend this to someone unless they really want a subcompact SUV and they want something American. Then I would definitely recommend this. But thanks for tuning in to Spencer's Car Reviews. I'll see you guys on the next one.